Financial advisors will protect your portfolio. Nobody protects your culture. And that's a problem because in almost every case where generational wealth has collapsed, the money wasn't the first thing that went. The culture went first. The shared identity, the common values, the sense of what the family stood for beyond the balance sheet. Once that goes, the financial unraveling is just a matter of time. Today we're talking about family culture, the most underestimated factor in whether wealth actually lasts, and the one thing that no financial plan, trust structure, or estate attorney can build for you. I want to be upfront about something before we go any further. I don't come to this as an expert. I come to this as someone who made a decision that I will be the first millionaire in my family. That's my commitment. That's my manifesto. And making that decision forces you to ask questions that most people never think to ask. Not just how do I make more money, but how do the families who really have it figured out, the ones who built wealth and kept it and grew it, how do they actually live? What do they believe? What do they pass on to their children that isn't in any financial plan? The more I researched that question, the more one answer kept surfacing above everything else. It wasn't their investment strategy. It was their culture, and this channel exists because I think the answer matters for all of us who are building from scratch, and I'd rather figure it out with a community than alone. Culture is one of those words that can feel abstract until you see it working or failing in real time. In the simplest possible terms, family culture is the answer to the question, what does it mean to be part of this family? Not financially, fundamentally. What do we believe? What do we stand for? How do we treat each other? What are we trying to build together? Every family has a culture. Most families just never defined it. It's made up of habits, rituals, stories, assumptions and values that were never written down or spoken aloud, but are transmitted constantly. Through behavior, through what gets celebrated, through what gets tolerated, and through what stories get told at the dinner table. The difference between families with strong cultures and families with weak ones isn't the values themselves. It's whether those values are intentional or accidental. Here's the thing that most wealth management content misses entirely. You can have a perfect financial structure and a broken family culture, and you will lose the wealth. But you can have an imperfect financial structure and a strong family culture, and you will find a way to rebuild whatever gets lost. Culture is the operating system. Everything else, the trusts, the investments, the estate plans, those are the applications running on top of it. And if the operating system is corrupted, it doesn't matter how good the applications are. The families who keep wealth across multiple generations share one thing more consistently than any financial strategy. They have a story, a shared narrative about who they are, where they came from, what they've overcome, and what they're building toward. And every member of the family, across generations, knows that story and feels part of it. That's not a financial product. You can't outsource it. It has to be built deliberately and maintained actively. And most families never do it because nobody ever told them it was their job. So how do you actually build a family culture intentionally? The first building block is shared narrative. Every strong family culture has a founding story, the real one, including the hard parts, where the wealth came from, what was sacrificed, what almost didn't work. That story does something critical. It makes wealth feel earned and fragile rather than permanent and inevitable. Families who lose touch with their founding story start treating wealth as a birthright. Families who know it treat it as a responsibility. The second is rituals. Regular, repeated shared experiences that reinforce the family identity. These don't have to be grand gestures. Annual gatherings with a consistent format. A family tradition around major decisions. A shared practice around giving or service. The content matters less than the consistency. Rituals create continuity across time and distance. They're what makes a family feel like a family, rather than a group of people who share a last name. The third is shared language. High-performing families develop their own vocabulary around wealth and responsibility, terms and phrases that carry specific meaning within the family. This might sound minor, but it's quietly powerful. Shared language creates shared identity. It signals belonging. It reminds people what they stand for every time the words are used. The fourth is deliberate storytelling. Who tells the family stories, and when matters, the stories that get repeated shape the culture. Are you telling stories of resilience and responsibility, or stories of entitlement and luck? Families should be intentional about which stories they amplify, because those stories become the values of the next generation. Start with the story. If you're thinking about family culture and don't know where to begin, find the founding story of your family's wealth and make sure everyone in the family knows it, the real version, with the struggle and the risk and the near misses included. Then ask yourself, what rituals do we already have that reinforce our family identity? Which ones are worth keeping and making more intentional? And are there gaps, places where the next generation is growing up without a clear sense of what this family stands for? Culture is built in the small, repeated moments, not the big formal ones. It's in how money's talked about at dinner, in what gets celebrated, in what stories get told. That's where you start. This is the wealth decoder. If you believe that wealth is about more than money, that it's about what you build, what you stand for, and what you pass on, this channel is for you. Subscribe and we'll keep going deeper into the things that actually determine whether wealth lasts.